Future of Canada and our nations, because it's about how we can build in all senses. When we look back over our history, Métis have played a pivotal role as skilled traders, as voyageurs.
We are under economic attack right now, and we cannot take this lightly. The Fenians were trying to come. The Métis said, you cross that border, you're going to fight with us. And they backed away. Not only John MacDonald, we say the same thing now to Trump. We're not for sale, man.
Canada just delivered a message no country has ever spoken so publicly, so directly, and so unapologetically in front of Donald Trump's political shadow. During a national ceremony meant to honor Louis Riel, the Métis leader who shaped Manitoba's creation. A commemoration unexpectedly transformed into a defining statement of modern sovereignty. The country looked south, absorbed the pressure coming from Washington, and repeated the line now spreading across the nation. We're not for sale. What happened in Winnipeg wasn't symbolic. It was historic, and it was a warning to Trump's America that Canada stands on its own more than ever. Before we go deeper, this is Maple States. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. If you support independent, fact-driven Canadian reporting, hit subscribe, drop a like, target 499, and leave a comment. The top comment out of 250 will be pinned. The event took place at the annual Louis Riel commemoration, marking 140 years since Riel's execution. For the first time in Canadian history, a sitting Prime Minister, Mark Carney, attended in person. He stood among Métis leadership, elders, families, and Manitobans who came to honor a man who fought for recognition, rights, and dignity. But the moment that electrified the entire field came from Métis President David Chartrand. After speaking about Riel's struggle and the history of oppression faced by Métis communities, he shifted toward the present day, connecting 19th century battles to 21st century political pressures. Then he said it clearly and without hesitation. We say the same thing now to Trump. We're not for sale. Get the hell out of here. Carney did not interrupt. He didn't look uncomfortable. He simply stood silently, hands folded, listening. That silence became part of the message. It framed Chartrand's words, not as partisanship, but as a historical line drawn in front of the nation. It signaled that sovereignty, economic, cultural, and political, was no longer a quiet debate inside government offices. It had become a public stance. For many Canadians, Louis Riel symbolizes resistance, courage, and the fight for self-determination. When Métis leadership invoked Trump in the same breath as Riel's legacy, they weren't trying to provoke the United States, they were making a point. Canada has faced attempts at domination before and refused them. Riel fought to protect his community from being erased. Today, Canada fights to protect its economic future from being dictated by unpredictable politics abroad. The parallel was unmistakable. Throughout 2025, the U.S. has pushed Canada hard with tariff increases, supply chain threats, and repeated pressure campaigns aimed at forcing more manufacturing and investment south of the border. Tariffs on steel, aluminum, autos, lumber, pharmaceuticals, and agricultural goods have created uncertainty for thousands of Canadian companies operating in deeply integrated cross-border industries. Ottawa's response has been quiet but decisive. Accelerate diversification, more trade with Asia, more cooperation with Europe, more deals with emerging markets, and fewer economic eggs in one American basket. Carney has repeatedly emphasized that Canada must reduce its reliance on a single dominant market, even if that market is the United States. And when a sitting prime minister stands on sacred historical ground and refuses to distance himself from a statement as direct as "we're not for sale," it becomes clear that the strategy is no longer abstract policy. It's now national identity. Trump's approach has been straightforward. Use tariffs and economic leverage to pull supply chains back into the U.S., but instead of weakening Canada, this strategy has produced the opposite effect. Canada has strengthened partnerships abroad, expanded its global influence, and deepened ties that bypass American pressure entirely. Canadian heavy crude remains essential to U.S. refineries. Foreign investors continue viewing Canada as a stable, clean energy-driven economy, and new agreements in minerals, batteries, infrastructure, and technology point toward Canada emerging as a preferred partner in a volatile geopolitical landscape. If Trump's goal was isolation, the outcome for Canada has been independence. The shift is visible everywhere. Border travel from Canada into the U.S. has dropped sharply. Surveys show declining trust in U.S. political stability. Canadian businesses are reorienting their export strategies. The phrase "we're not for sale" didn't appear out of thin air. It reflects a national mood forming after a year of shocks and unpredictability. This is also why Carney's silence in Winnipeg mattered. He understands that messages grounded in history and delivered by community leaders carry legitimacy that political speeches cannot duplicate. By simply standing there, without rejecting or endorsing the statement, he allowed it to exist as a reflection of Canadian sentiment, not partisan rhetoric. The event in Winnipeg marked a collision between Canada's domestic identity and its international reality. A community that has long fought to be heard ended up voicing what millions of Canadians feel. Sovereignty is not a bargaining chip, and while Canada was absorbing the meaning of Chartrand's message, another political moment unfolded thousands of kilometers away. Standing before reporters in Kuala Lumpur, Carney responded to Trump's latest outburst with calm precision. Trump had halted all trade talks with Canada after an Ontario television ad criticized his tariff agenda. While Washington erupted, Carney simply repeated his economic doctrine. Canada must give itself more than any foreign government could ever take away. No shouting, no retaliation, just a plan. Behind the scenes, negotiations had been progressing. Draft agreements to ease U.S. tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum were moving forward. Then the Ontario ad aired, Trump reacted instantly, and another 10% tariff threat appeared. When asked if he blamed Ontario Premier Doug Ford for the setback, Carney refused to be dragged into personal drama. Instead, he reminded reporters that trade negotiations often involve sudden twists and that one bad day doesn't end a national strategy. His calm was deliberate, and it opened space for something bigger. Carney's government is preparing to unleash hundreds of billions in domestic investment, manufacturing, energy, infrastructure, technology, supply chain strengthening. His message is clear: Canada will respond to external pressure not by retaliating, but by rebuilding itself stronger than before. And while Trump threatens tariffs, Carney is building alliances. In Asia, he held meetings with Malaysia's Prime Minister, Singaporean business leaders, and South Korean officials. At APEC, he confirmed his first meeting with China's President Xi in 3 years. He announced that Canada aims to increase non-U.S. exports by 50% over the next decade, around $300 billion. Then came the move that signaled the biggest shift yet. Carney arrived in Mexico City, signing 2 major agreements with President Claudia Sheinbaum, a strategic partnership and an action plan that covers infrastructure, agriculture, health, emergency coordination, and security. These deals open pathways for Canadian goods directly to Mexico and beyond, routes that bypass the United States entirely. Canada and Mexico are now building a united front ahead of the 2026 CU-SMA review. Together, they are showing that North America's future will not be dictated by Washington alone. Trump may continue tariffs, pressure may return, but Canada is no longer standing alone. It is adapting, expanding, and asserting itself with the confidence that was once only found in history books. From the fields of Winnipeg to the trade halls of Asia and the signing rooms of Mexico City, the message is the same. Canada is not for sale. If you enjoyed this report, please subscribe to Maple States. We're aiming for 5,000 subscribers. Every click helps us grow.